The good people at Bleacher Report need to be investigated. This list is absolutely insane. There's an article that came out, and we're about to break all of this insanity down here on Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner. But before we get into that, this is even more insane. 96% of you guys aren't subscribed. Why? This is daily Spurs content. You're getting it daily, day in, day out, Spurs content. Hit that subscribe button real quick. Spur of the moment, get every Spurs moment. Don't be a travesty like this is. 5 teams that should tank if they start slow in 24-25. Okay. On the list, you see the Chicago Bulls, makes sense. You see the Detroit Pistons, makes sense. You see the Jazz, makes sense. What doesn't make sense is this. Why are the Spurs on the list? With 20-year-old Victor Wembanyama front and center of the franchise, present and future, the Spurs are well positioned to play the long game. Okay, yeah, they are going to play the long game of being contenders. Unless, of course, there's a desire to field a more competitive roster around the ascending star sooner than later. Of course there is. They wouldn't have gotten this guy if they didn't. This is Chris Paul the season before he's on the roster that he's going to, and then the first season with him. You clearly see a massive uptick in win percentage everywhere he goes. This guy, one, is going to change the future of the San Antonio Spurs for the 2024-2025 season. That's one. Two, why would Chris Paul come to the Spurs thinking he's going to be in a 25-win situation? There are multiple teams he could have gone to for his contract to go play. Could have went back to the Warriors if they would have tried to work something out, if he would have taken a pay cut. I'm sure LeBron would have been happy to see him. I'm sure any of these teams who are contending would have been happy with a point guard who could put up 9 points and 7 assists in 26 minutes. That's one. Two, we look at this here. That's Wemby's odds to win the MVP this season. He's top 9. Okay, I understand 9 down. Oh, you know who you don't see? Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Steph Curry. We just watched Steph and LeBron be the 2 best players on Team USA. Who is their 3rd best player? Kevin Durant. Who is not on this list? Kevin Durant. Victor Wembanyama has a better chance than all of them. The worst seed anyone's ever been to be an MVP is a 6th seed, and that's been Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic. They were both 45, 46 plus win teams those seasons. Are you kidding? His odds to win Defensive Player of the Year, clearly high because he's minus 250. The next is plus 900 in Rudy Gobert. You have to put in $250 to make $100 for Victor Wembanyama to be the Defensive Player of the Year. It's a shoo-in as long as he stays healthy. Okay, and you think to yourself, oh, well, you could have a bad-ish record being a Defensive Player of the Year. If that was the case, he would have won it last year because he had better defensive stats than Rudy Gobert, but he was 22-60, so his team defense wasn't as good, even though he clearly was the best player. That's one. Two, this is a list here of all the players who have ever won Defensive Player of the Year. On the right-hand side, that .427, shout out to Alvin Robertson, San Antonio Spurs, but that .427 and Dikembe's .440. That's their win percentage in the year they won. That's the lowest ever. The lowest ever. So there's been 2 Defensive Player of the Years who haven't been at least 500. You're going to tell me that he is that big of a favorite, but they're going to win how many games? They're going to tank? That's insane. It makes no sense. Okay, he ends it saying the Spurs don't need to rush this. Patience is what ultimately pushed them forward, but they need much more of it if one more season at the bottom of the standings nets Wembanyama a true co-star for the next decade. One, they got Stephon Castle. I understand he may not be the biggest of stars, but Stephon Castle is going to be a quality starter, if not a borderline all-star, in this league for a decade. They got Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is an older veteran. Why would he want to be on a bad team? He was just on a Sacramento Kings team that competed with the Warriors 2 years ago until Steph dropped 50 on him, and last year got to the last play-in game before they ended up ultimately losing because the West is such a deep conference. Why would he be there? Chris Paul, I already spoke on him. Why would he be there if they didn't want to win? If they weren't planning on winning? There's no reason why they even should tank. I understand he said slow start. But we saw the way they started last year. They were their win percentage was 41% last year after the All-Star break. And they started slow. And they got better. Substantially better. Their odds this year are 35.5. That's low. Anyone betting this, take the over. They're at least a 500 ball club this year. At least. Take the over on that. Put their wins up and go get yourself some free money. This here, it might be hard to see. This here is Gregg Popovich's game-by-game wins for each season. So you see that line there, 82 games, it's 56 and 26, and 37 and 13, then 53 and 29. My point is, over the last 6 seasons, or 5 seasons, it's been 32-39, 33-39, 34-48, 22 and 60, 22 and 60. You think the greatest coach of all time wants to keep losing? This guy was perpetually in the playoffs, winning playoff series, winning championships when he had a star of stars, Tim Duncan. You know what he has right now? Victor Wembanyama. You know who that is? A star of stars, of course. And last but not least, these are the picks that they have this year. Chicago's top 10 protected. They're probably not going to be getting that because Chicago shouldn't be good. Charlotte, top 14 protected. They're not getting that because the Hornets will be a lottery team. The one to look at, Atlanta. They're projected at 35.5 wins this year like the Spurs. They're not great. I know they've got Jalen Johnson, who is shown to be a promising young star. You've got Tre Young, who has gotten the team to a conference finals. Bojan Bogdanovic, we saw him in the Olympics. We saw him play well there. Clint Capella, cool. They're starting 5, and then obviously they got the second pick in the draft this year. Young talent, starting 5. But what they don't want to do is win moving forward. This year means nothing to them. They're not doing anything. Their best interest, they're going to try to win because they don't have a pick. But they're not going to be good. That pick should easily be a top 10 pick. Easily. And we saw them last year. They didn't have the greatest of draft odds, and they got the number 2 pick. Overall, this is insane. There needs to be an investigation at Bleacher Report. Why would they put the Spurs on this list? It makes no sense. I understand you can get another star along Wemby, but they're not going to be bad. He's too good. We've seen one star, one superstar, take teams to at least be 500. We see it every year, and this is going to be nothing different. And you've got Chris Paul, you've got Stephon Castle, you got Harrison Barnes, you still have Devin Vassell, you have Keldon Johnson, you have Tre Jones, you've got Zach Collins, and then you've got a slew of young players who are going to compete at a high level. We talked about Brandon Boston, Malachi. There's too many players. There's too much talent on this roster. They're going to be at minimum 500. At minimum 500. Let me know in the comments if you think this is as ludicrous as I do. Let me know in the comments what you think the Spurs' chances are this season, and if for some reason you think they should tank, please inform me as to why I'm wrong. I'm not, but inform me why. This was Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner, and I'll see you guys soon.